There he is.
What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Living the dream, dude.
You seem a little punchy.
Do I?
A little bit.
Let's start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
All right, I'm Jason Chalker, also known as Manly Art. I'm a occasional toy maker, most of the time painter and designer type person.
So how did it start for you? Did you always know? Did you know you were going to be an artist when you were young?
Yeah, I started like when I was like in kindergarten. My mom would, I'd like sit down and my mom would draw things for me and I'd draw them. I'd try and copy what she was drawing. So yeah.
So your mom was an artist also?
No, but she liked doing art. I mean, I think she had some talent. It was just never developed. So I mean, she took like painting classes and stuff, but she had 3 kids. So back when I was growing up, it was like that means no free time. So, and then I'd always hijack her paints and stuff because I'd see she's painting, I'd be like, oh, I want to play, and of course she'd help me out instead of doing her own thing. So sorry, Mom.
I think if you have 3 kids, it still means you don't have free time. I don't think that's changed.
maybe she had more time because back then it was just like, especially during the summer, it's like go out and play, could be back when the sun comes down.
Right. Those were the days.
No, I feel for kids nowadays that aren't like, living in the country and can still do that.
Yeah, I don't really see kids out by themselves. Like when I was 13, I was on my bike going wherever I want. I don't randomly see a 13-year-old kid on the street ever.
Yeah.
On a bike, I'm not that good at telling age, but you can tell if it's like a young kid. Like you don't see that. Like I used to walk to school, and I don't know.
We'll say where I live now, it's a pretty family oriented part of town. So I actually see, I rarely see single kids, but I see a lot of like pairs or groups of kids on their bikes and kids going to baseball practice or whatever.
Yeah,
which is actually really nice.
I guess I see groups every once in a while, but I don't know. I just, as soon as I was old enough and my mom was cool with it, I was like on a bike and I was going to the comic shop and just going everywhere. And like we didn't have cell phones, so I would just get on the bus and like go downtown.
My mom at that age, my mom would have had a heart attack. I mean, I actually went to school downtown. I went to a private school and I was living in Dallas, and First Baptist Academy. I'm a recovering Baptist in case anybody needs to talk.
So just walk us through. So then you pretty much know early on. Did you have other odd jobs? Did you do other stuff, or did you?
No, I mean, I did some stuff in high school and in college that wasn't art related, but pretty much once I got out of school, I was I think my first full-time gig out of school was designing T-shirts for a little T-shirt company south of Austin. They did a lot of river rafting T-shirts, and then I moved on to children's interactive software, doing hotspot animations, and then I went on to graphic, worked for a design agency. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything. So, but I've been lucky. I haven't. I'm trying to think. I had a short stint helping a buddy out, like prepping apartments, like for re-renting, like painting cabinets and doing crap like that. But for the most part, just I've been lucky, and I've been doing art most of my life.
And so how did you stumble onto toys? Like when did that come onto your radar as like, this is a medium I could be participating in?
So I think what got me into toys was actually, I know exactly what it was. I I'm just trying to remember the exact timeline. I'm old, my brain's not working as well as it used to. It was a long time ago. I guess I was in LA and I went to Kid Robot when they had a store there, and I stumbled on it, didn't know anything about it, and I saw that they had these blanks, these like blank monies, and
Mhm.
I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then I kind of and I think they may even had a couple of customs on display. It's a little fuzzy, but that was when I first got the bug. I was like, oh, this is a different art form.
Mhm.
It's cool, and that was kind of my gateway into it. I think the first thing I ever did with the money was I guess it was 2006, 2007. I did a Frankenstein money where you could actually pull off the top of his head, and he had a little brain inside,
Nice.
and that was the first thing I ever did, and that kind of got me the bug. And then what really submitted me into doing it was I guess I want to say it was maybe 2010, 2011. There was I don't know if you know Shelby Miller. He put together he and Cody put together a vinyl toy show in Dallas, and that's when I really got the bug and started doing some more kind of hardcore stuff with just making customs.
I think you came onto my radar the first time. I think was it you and Forces of Darkness, and you had a show at Kid Robot,
Yeah, New York. Yeah,
and
we did that Star Wars custom show.
Sarah and I were in New York for what year was that?
That was 2011, I think.
2011. So we weren't doing New York Comic Con then, but we went to New York that year to see if we needed to be doing New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
I promptly decided that we didn't need to be doing New York Comic Con.
It wasn't ready for you yet, Duff.
But I remember we went to Kid Robot, and we saw that show and all the Star Wars stuff, and then you had made that card set for the show.
Yeah, yeah. I've still got some
and,
of those.
and that was and so how did that, when did you start, I mean, those are like vinyl toys and customizing. How did you wander into um action figures and resin and all that?
It was just kind of a progression. I mean, it's actually pretty soon after that, I think. Actually, you know what? I take that back. No, I guess it was the next year. That was when I'd come up with the idea of Pimp 2D2, and I'd done the painting for it and made the poster, and I was like, this was I wanted to like flesh it out. I wanted to see, like go whole hog and have an action figure line that would, because I thought it was just so funny that there would be like, it's like the Alien action figure line. It's such an inappropriate movie for children to have toys from back in the time,
Right.
and I was like, let's do these pimp action figures that are like, no parent in their right mind would buy their kid if
Right.
they're paying attention. And that's what started. I had in undergrad, I had I minored in sculpture, so I always had an interest in 3D, like
Mhm.
stuff. It was more stonework, but um, but I had the interest in the mindset for it, and so so it's kind of a logical progression for me just to move forward. I had a lot of fun, kind of got the bug, and then I had all these other ideas for continuing the line and stuff. And
And
I think the first resin stuff I did though was a modified dunny head for a custom set I did for Vinyl Thoughts. It was like a limited edition. It was
mhm.
Thug's Bunny, so I basically sculpted onto a dunny head and made him kind of more Bugs Bunny looking, and then cast the head and use existing bodies.
And then so then Pimp 2D2, so that line starts. And that line sort of, where did you premiere the first Pimp 2D2? Was it online or was it New York
No,
Comic
it's
Con?
New York Comic Con, and it blew my mind because I made like 35 of them, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this will be fun. Maybe maybe people will get into it. and somehow somebody saw it, and apparently there was like DJs in Detroit talking about it and all this
It
stuff, and
it
it was bizarre.
it really did strike a chord with people, and I remember um by the time we started doing New York Comic Con, you were making other characters in the series,
Yeah.
and people just come up to the booth. You got the next figure in the series? You got that? And it just kind of like with like C3PO and what was that, R5D
420.
420? Yeah. Ian has that memorized. Boom. So Ian says hi.
What's up, man?
I think what's fascinating is you're one of the few artists in the scene. A lot of young artists or people who haven't done this before, like approach me, and their skill is limited in some way, and from either the graphic design aspect of it or the casting or the painting or the sculpting, like not everyone in the scene can do everything. There's a few that can, but you're one of the few that can do virtually everything, and everything like exceptionally well. I mean, because you can sculpt or kit bash, cast, paint your figures, you can paint your card backs, your graphic design, like you're kind of like a one-stop shop.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it's just I always kind of I say this jokingly, but there's a book by T.H. White called The Once and Future King,
Mhm.
and it's what Disney based The Sword and the Stone on. So basically, Merlin's training this kid because he does all these different things, and it comes to this perfect storm where he can draw the sword out of the stone. And I'm not saying I'm like crazy like that, but I'm just saying like I've had all these different experiences that kind of came to the perfect storm and made me like, oh, I'm a one-stop shop for making toys. I have all these aggregate skills that I may not be the best in the world at, but I can put them together pretty well, and it works.
The rest is history. So let's talk about this other line. So this started a few years ago in San Diego. What year was that? 2000?
That was 16 or 17.
2016, 2017. And we're trying to figure out what to do, because I think you had moved, and so your casting ability, like you didn't have you didn't have a studio set up to cast
I
stuff.
was given the East Coast to try, and so everything was in storage. I was living at a friend's farm,
and then you're like, I can still paint, and they're like, what do we do? And then so we talked about it, and somehow we came up with the idea that you should paint 24 or 20 portraits of a Kenner Boba Fett.
Yeah. You know what it was? I think what spurred that on was I'd done a couple of action figure paintings for a little show that James Garrett and I put together in Dallas, and I'd done some action figure paintings, like of actual like portrait of action figures. And I think that was kind of like, maybe that was what kind of spurred that on. It's like, oh,
you mean those?
Kind of. Yes, those are the ones.
Yes. It's okay.
I was gonna say I'm still a
so yeah, so those are the ones. I think that that may have been what kind of sparked turn on the light bulb for us on doing the actually attaching action figures. So I remember at first you were like, but like, okay, I like that, but it's like we need something a little more toyish. And I'm like, well, I can glue blisters on there. And you're like, you want to glue blisters on your paintings? And I'm like, fuck it, why not? It's
right.
Pardon my French.
And that started a long tradition of us ruining people's art with with blisters.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea if we were the first people to do that or not. I don't know, but
I don't know. But we do it if we were. We do it regularly now, and it no, because we had done it with Mike Egan before. Like he was hand painting those wood panels. But
oh, that's right. Yeah.
it something about yours just made it I think it just put the fear of God into Ian as he's like gluing the blister really carefully.
Well, Ian, you did Ian, you did a good job, and B, at least I haven't made you do it for all of them. It was just that most recent one. I wasn't looking at the video preview going, my God, they screwed it all up.
Let me take a break here. So all you people over on Pop Shop, we are doing an interview, and it seems kind of weird that you can only listen to me talk. If you want to hear all of it, you should go to dketoys.com, click on the DKE Econ link, and there's a Zoom link there, and you can be a part of the conversation. It is a Zoom seminar, so we won't see you. You just see us. You don't have to put on your clothes. It'll be fine. Anyway, back to the interview. Okay, so we did Boba Fett, and then we're like, what else could warrant like a whole series? And so what did we do? We did Greedo.
We did Greedo, and then
and Hammerhead.
And we've got him. We got Snaggletooth now.
And then we have Snaggletooth. And this was released the other day. You did 10 pieces.
Yeah.
They're all different. And so what was this experience for you like, just drawing, painting rather the same thing over and over again?
I gotta go into assembly line mode. So like with Snaggletooth, and this is something I kind of learned along the way that it makes it go a little faster. Is with Snaggletooth, I did all the gray parts first, gray and black parts. So I painted the heads and hands and the cuff around his collar first, and did all of them. Then I went back in, did all the bodies, because that way I'm not wasting any paint either. Because when you switch colors, I use gouache, so it'll dry up and it gets less, it doesn't have much, more life to it. And then so it's kind of more production. It's actually a quicker way to work. I think I did all 10 of those in about 2 weeks on top of the day job.
Pretty amazing. But you mentioned something to me during the process of painting the Boba Fett about how it was making you a better painter.
Yeah, I mean, vaguely. Pretty much anytime I do a painting, I get a little better. So at least that's how I feel, And with that, it was like the fact that I was actually having to it wasn't just painting for shits and giggles, It was like, okay, I have to get 24 freaking paintings done, and what did I end up having? Like maybe a month and a half, 2 months. Excuse me. And it made me really work on my technique, and I got better as I was going, because I was doing kind of the same. It's like when you're in art school and you have to draw hands. The assignment is you have to draw 20 or 40 hands just to get used to learning how hands work and stuff. And I learned how to action figure Boba Fett worked as I went along. You could probably, if you went from first painting to last painting, the detail probably got I was catching more things, even if it's just flaws in the paint or whatever, and so
all of these projects where I'm always pushing you to paint the same thing over and over again. Why do you still talk to me?
Because you're a nice guy, Dove, and you're not out to screw people over, which is just a wonderful thing in this world. It's like you take care of yourself, but it's like that's just business.
It depends on your definition. It's like putting someone to work in the salt mine to paint 24 Boba Fett.
It's not like you're putting a gun to my head. I'm like,
it's true.
I like doing it. And, by the end of it, I'm glad I'm done, but I still enjoyed the experience. I like the challenge of it. And, it's challenging painting, trying to make, 10, 20 paintings of the same basic thing look different and interesting and unique enough that there's not like just one really good one and all the rest are people like, oh, well, that just looks like the rest of it, or that's crap. And
so for anyone watching this, if you go to the DKE Toys Flickr page, in the folder for that convention, you can actually see all of the images that are there. And they're all great on their own, but together they do something else. When they were all hung up all together, there was another, it was like all of them, like everyone got to buy one and they sold out super quick. The what?
It was just the guy came up. Y'all got Boba Fett?
Did you hear that?
yeah, a little, I got something like, y'all got Boba Fett?
Yeah, someone came up and said at Comic-Con, said that to us. They're like, here. There's something about them all together, and there was something that didn't work out because of just how much time it would have taken. Was that we had originally talked about, you were gonna it's super hard logistically to do, was to paint them all, right, then scan them all, then create the graphic of the back and put that back on all of them, so you could see all of them. But logistically, that just, can you imagine like the nightmare? Like,
yeah, I would have had to been done a month and a half early.
Yeah, exactly. So so we're talking about the idea of doing a little zine, like if there's 24 of them, doing like a 24-page zine, and I think we could accomplish the same goal, and then everyone could have all of them for, you know, $5 or $10, or, you know, something super affordable. But I think as a collection, they really do excel. Excuse me while I reboot Pop Shop. That is, it's really just a dying machine.
Pop Shop or your computer?
Oh, our computer's fine. It's Pop Shop. It Pop Shop Live. They should actually just call it Pop Shop Dying. Sorry, Jenky's gonna have to cut all this stuff out.
So, Dov, I do have something to share with you.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh.
In
trouble now.
It's not. I'm not ready to start yet, but hopefully by the end of the year.
Look at that.
Getting set back up for doing resin. So I got it all. Yeah. So hopefully some more of the Pimp to Teach figures that we've discussed will be happening next year.
Nice. It seems like you have a lot of space there. So where are you again? You're in New Jersey now?
No, I'm in Detroit.
You're in Michigan. I can't keep track. Like,
I'm settled here for a while. My wife has a baby store now, a baby clothes store. So we're here, and I've got a decent day job, and so I'm in
Detroit, right? Because you're working for, yeah. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting, because like you're working for a car company, correct?
Yeah, Fiat Chrysler.
So can you tell us what you're doing there?
Yeah, I'm a UI UX designer and animator for their mobile app. Their mobile app. So with starting model year 22, which comes out this spring, this app will let you do all the stuff like turn on your car and lock it. You know, you can check all your vehicle info, like how much gas do you have, you know, is there a problem? It'll alert you that, you know, something, hey, you know, your carburetor is not doing right or whatever. I'm not an engine guy, but so yeah, so I'm doing that type of stuff for them.
No, so for as long as I've known you, you've had some creative day jobs, and there's been some times where you've been just doing art just for yourself, and then sometimes you get another job and that lasts a while. Can you talk about the difference in your life as an artist? Like we talked, you know, I talked to other artists about the same subject, and about people who have creative jobs and what it's like having to come home and do more creative work, and other people who purposefully have jobs that are not creative so that they can actually come home and still have energy to be creative. Is that hard to turn on and turn off for you?
No, I mean, it was a little hard when I first started this job, but it's such a different mindset, because, you know, it sound like a dork. I mean, I'm working for the man. You know, I'm not doing this.
Sure.
Is the day job is like, you know, I do good design work, but it's nothing that's going to win awards. It's because they don't want it. They don't want that level of work. You know, they don't want
Mhm.
that. It's a big corporation, and they don't ask that level of creativity. When I get the chance to, yeah, sure, I do. I give it everything I can, but it's just very
Mhm.
rare I get to do that because it's normally very tight deadlines on designing for an app. So when I come
Mhm.
home, I actually want to do other art because it kind of cleanses from that and
Mhm.
lets me like be really creative and do the stuff I love, like paint and get my hands dirty.
Right. So
Oh,
I
I
guess what you're saying is that creatively it's different enough um, that you can come home and still do, like you said, get your hands dirty and paint. So what would it be like, you think, if you were working a job where you were painting all day? Would you want to come home and paint for yourself?
um, it would depend on the kind of work
Mm. I
because
always remember.
I have this range that I really like of like, you know, lowbrow that's like the stuff I love. Like,
Mhm.
you know, like I don't know if you know, I just had a release artist of the week for tops for Wacky Packages.
I know.
That's like the thank you. That was like a highlight of the last few years for me, just getting to do that because I'm like, you know, and also actually this year's been really good because I picked up also did 3 base cards for the new Mars Attack set paintings that are you know, that are printed, not just sketch cards. And that's thank you. That's where like that's what I'm passionate about. Like I like
Mhm.
drawing kind of oddball, fun, you know, or even, you know, gory monster stuff, whatever. That kind of stuff really does it for me.
And then, I mean, the other thing I notice about your work is how many styles like you're like really proficient in, because you know, I've seen you throw down and just do like a fully rendered painting, and then I see you like easily switch into, you know, if you look at like the stickers and the some of the like the parody album covers that you've done, or something that looks like, you know, those Star Wars Robert Crumb stickers, like, or the like you're saying, like the hot rod, like, didn't you do one of those like kind of Big Daddy Roth style, and
Boba
uh,
Fink.
Boba Fink, there you go. And I mean, those are some pretty distinct styles to work in. Like, I mean, even in your painting, I've seen like really like hyper realistic stuff, and then been able to switch it up and do cartoony stuff, and all, you know, it all kind of shines.
Huh. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I just it's maybe I'm a good mimic, you know. I don't know how to explain
Not
it. I just
the answer I was looking for, but okay.
well, no, I mean, it's just like it was like I was doing the sword and the stone analogy. It's like I've just done all these different jobs in my life, so like I got good at doing ink drawing when I was designing T-shirts because
Mhm,
that was half, you know, actually it was half like hand drawn and half digital.
mhm.
And then where one thing that really affected at least my drawing style was I was an animator on a Scanner Darkly, which was the movie came out in like 2006,
Sure.
2007.
That was
And
Richard Linklater.
yeah, yeah. And all the guys I worked with, I mean, like over half of them were comic book artists. And
Mm.
some of them were like damn good ones that are like, you know, working for Marvel now and DC and so on.
But that
And
but
we'd have sketch.
that was rotoscope. Like they actually shot them and then they
Yeah, we
animated
drew,
over it.
we animated over it. But the guys I worked with, I mean, after you know, we have sketch club, you know,
Mhm,
on Thursday nights. And so we go meet at a Starbucks or whatever coffee shop, and we'd all hang out and draw, and we'd like pick a subject and we'd all just draw, you know, hang out and draw and just blow off steam from having to draw, you know, Keanu Reeves or whoever we were
mhm.
doing all day. And you know, it really made me up my game because these guys were so good. And I'm just like, Jesus, these guys can just freaking draw, and it kind of lit a fire under me as far as just you know, really like not just kind of you know, I did some cool stuff before that, but you know, I hadn't found like my drive to do art and like to really want to do like the best work I can do. And they made me realize that, you know, I was like, I mean, I honestly like, you know, working at ad agencies and stuff, you know, most of the time you're working with designers that don't have much art, you know, like much art, fine art background. So I was always the best artist in the group. Like I could, you know, I could draw shit, like, you know, whatever. And I get plopped on this job, and yeah, I'm still pretty good, but like I'm by no means the best artist in the room. And it was a nice wake up call that you know, you need to get your butt in gear and put some effort into it, and you know, try and make a name for yourself doing stuff. And so yeah, so but to go back and like what you were talking about is, you know, so I started drawing more and I started experimenting and started picking up new techniques. And you know, it's, you know, so I took painting classes, you know, a couple painting classes in college, and you know, and I picked that up pretty well and just kind of got my own style of that. But then I picked up an inking style from hanging out with all these comic book guys, and I got a lot of practice with just drawing in black and white, because that's the first part of doing the rotoscope animation. So, you know, I mean, I'm drawing, you know, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. I'm like literally just drawing, and it has an impact on you, and you get a lot better, and you get a lot smoother and a lot more confident in your line work and your coordination. And you know, it's just all practice.
It's kind of like that 10,000 hours thing, you know, about like the Beatles, like playing in those clubs, you know, just every night, you know, three sets a night, you know, whatever, 6 hours, 5 days a week. And then after a couple of years, like you just got it. So then I approached you with this other like weird request, because did this other project with Lou where he is painting classic figures from the bootleg scene, and then didn't want to leave Pimp 2D2 out. So how did you feel when I asked another artist to paint your character?
It helped that you asked Lou, because I really like him and I know him. You know, and then I got a little jealous, because like, wow, that's really cool Pimp dude. Like, goddamn.
It's what I think is
don't
funny.
outshine me, Lou. Come on, man.
What I thought was funny is that you both had the same reaction, because I asked him, I said, what do you think about this? And then he's like, is Jason gonna be okay with that? I'm like, yeah, he's totally fine with it. He's like, okay, if he's okay with it. Well, so I think next time you're gonna have to paint him. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what's next? Like, have you? I guess I've been asking all the artists today that I guess I generally ask this question is like, have you made it? Is this it?
I'll never made it.
No.
No, the day I stop feeling like I need to improve is the day I need to quit doing art.
I see. So you're a never content person.
No, I mean, I'm happy with stuff I do. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's one of those things, like I don't think I'll ever retire. You know, I mean, I'll always be doing something artistic. You know.
Oh no, I guess what I mean is that. I guess I interact with a lot of younger artists who are trying to make a living with their work, and I think they would view you as like living the dream. Like, you know, you can sit there and draw all day, and someone pays you to do that.
Yeah.
And so what I mean is, like, I don't know. Is this?
I think I know what you're saying. I mean, you know, like, have I arrived where I want to be in my career? No, because ideally I would be doing, you know, pop culture stuff, wacky packages, paintings, all that stuff full time. And making a decent living. But it's, one thing when I went off on my own when I was living in Dallas for about, probably 7 years, because I moved back to help take care of my parents because they'd gotten old and were needing some extra help that my brothers couldn't do. And so I just kind of sucked it up and just tried to do freelance, and it sucked. It was horrible. I mean, I got odd jobs in, and luckily I had money in the bank, and I wasn't like gonna go hungry or anything, but it made me realize that there's a lot to be said for having a full-time job or even a half-time job, and that's part of the reason like I'm okay having the job at the car at one of the big three. It's not the most stimulating work in the world, and sometimes I just want to like go strangle some executives that understand the process. But I also I'm thankful that, hey, this is they're paying me a good wage to do relatively easy work, and I can still do the stuff I love at night and weekends. And my wife's a little bit of an art widow sometimes, but it's she understands, and and like right now I'm taking probably a month break from freelance stuff just to recoup, and because it's been a pretty crazy last 3 or 4 months. And yeah, so I guess I don't know what I was gonna say.
Well, it sounds like you're saying that it's kind of, you've kind of stumbled across the kind of like the perfect storm. You have a steady job, but it doesn't use up all the fuel in the tank, and that
Right.
you have enough energy for some other creative projects, and the other stuff that you're doing is pretty fulfilling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So living the dream, like I said.
Yeah, and I'd like to I'd like to switch the balance a little bit ultimately, but and hopefully I'm slowly getting there. But yeah, I can't complain. It's things are pretty good. Especially and honestly, COVID's a horrible thing, but it's been great because I don't have to drive to work now. And well, I mean, but seriously, that was like an hour and a half to 2 hours of my life that was gone. And after sitting in traffic for an hour, because I have a 70-mile round trip to work, and so I would have a lot less energy because it's just a beat down sitting in traffic.
Sure.
And especially Detroit traffic, because it's just horrible sometimes with all the road construction and people drive like maniacs and nobody uses turn signals. I know I sound like an old man right now, but
them turn signals
in my day, you get tarred and feathered if you didn't use your turn signal. And so since I've been working at home, I've had all this extra energy because it's like my commute's literally walking down a set of stairs. And I'm hoping to actually, even after the pandemic's over, it'll be a lot more flexible, because I think a lot of the big companies are realizing most of the people in our company are competent, do their work, and don't have to be on site to do their work. And
pretty amazing what how like this, it's gonna, I mean, there's so many cultural shifts that are gonna happen as a result of this. And hopefully, some good will come of it, because so much other bad is coming of it. But
yeah, I'm ready to put this year behind me, but it's
aren't we all? Well, we'll see how January goes, and then we'll go from there. I just want to get past January.
I mean the 13th month of 2020.
Or not even January, just the 20th. We'll just see how that goes. And
You want to see kicking and screaming?
yeah. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man, time flies. I feel like we've only been talking like 10 or 15 minutes.
Really? It's been like 45.
You can keep going.
Yeah, I just saw that.
All right, dude. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. All right.
Keep up the good work.
Take care, y'all.
Take
All
care.
right.
Amazing.